A family moves into a new home and discovers a dollhouse in the attic. But strange things start happening when they bring it down to the living room. The family's daughter, Lily, becomes obsessed with the dollhouse and spends hours playing with it. But one night, Lily wakes up to find one of the dolls has moved on its own. As the days go on, more and more strange occurrences happen in the house. Doors slam shut, objects move by themselves, and the family hears unexplained whispers in the night. The parents become increasingly worried about their daughter's obsession with the dollhouse and try to get rid of it. But Lily refuses to let it go. One night, the parents wake up to find Lily missing. They search the house and eventually find her in the living room, playing with the dollhouse. But this time, something is different. The dolls are moving on their own and seem to be trying to communicate with Lily. The family realizes that the dollhouse is haunted by the spirits of the doll's former owners, and they must find a way to get rid of it before it's too late. The family decides to do some research on the dollhouse and its history. They learn that it was built by a man named Edgar, who had a reputation for being eccentric and reclusive. He had no family and spent most of his time building miniature furniture and creating dollhouses. The family discovers that the dollhouse in their attic was one of Edgar's earliest creations. It was originally meant to be a gift for his niece, but she died before he could give it to her. After her death, Edgar became obsessed with the dollhouse and spent countless hours making it more elaborate and detailed. As they delve deeper into the history of the dollhouse, the family learns that Edgar's mental state began to deteriorate in the years leading up to his death. He started hearing voices and became convinced that the dolls in his creations were alive. The family realizes that Edgar's obsession with the dollhouse was passed on to Lily, who has been unwittingly communicating with the spirits of the doll's former owners. The family must now find a way to break the connection between Lily and the dollhouse before it's too late. As they search for a solution, the family begins to experience even more paranormal activity in the house. They see apparitions of the doll's former owners and hear their voices whispering in the night. Finally, they come up with a plan to destroy the dollhouse and break the connection between Lily and the spirits. But when they try to carry out their plan, they realize that the spirits are not willing to let go of their beloved dollhouse so easily.